Martial arts comedy drama Cobra Kai has so far provided fans with 4 action-packed seasons, and we now know another one is on the way. The show was born out of the 1980s hit movie Karate Kid, but have you ever wondered what it actually looks like behind the scenes? Us too. Today, we're talking about what Cobra Kai really looks like behind the scenes, so stay with us. First up, we're talking about Miguel's apartment. Cobra Kai features a ton of different filming locations, from Atlanta, Georgia to Okinawa, Japan. But it might surprise you to learn that most of the filming locations are actually real. That is, except one. The Cobra Kai dojo, plus rival dojos seen throughout the hit show, are all real working dojos. Plus Daniel's big house is a real house, and the high school too, all real. As well as this, there are scenes in Johnny's small apartment, plus LaRusso's service bay and Miguel's apartment. But one of these places isn't real, and it's Miguel's apartment. The doors that we see in his apartment on screen don't actually lead anywhere. The set designers really did a great job with this one. What did you think of all the cool locations in Cobra Kai? Next up, we're looking at those fight scenes. Stay with us. Of course, no TV show, which is so heavily influenced by the martial art form of karate, would be complete without a ton of pretty epic action scenes. And there is excitement all over the place, with fights around almost every corner. But how are these fights filmed to ensure the safety of the actors? If you think back to the end of Season 2 and the school fight between the students of Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, you will remember just how many people were involved and how out of control it all seemed. Sam ends up in the hospital, and Miguel is even on life support after being kicked down the stairs by Robbie. Filming something like this takes a lot of fine-tuning, but it was actually revealed that the fight scene in particular was filmed with no cuts. The camera just kept rolling. That means the cast had put in a ton of hours of rehearsing before the take, but even with all the practice, accidents still happened. And Mary Mauser even ended up in the ER after one fight scene and turned up with her fingers taped together, ready to shoot the very next day. Insane! Which season of Cobra Kai has been your favorite so far? Let us know below. So how do they coordinate them? Well, don't worry. The actors aren't actually punching and kicking each other. And in scenes where actors appear to fly through the air and land a pretty slick looking kick, well, they're mostly using wires, because of course they can't fly through the air for that long to land a perfectly placed head kick. And when you see the guys on the wires in the behind the scenes footage, their on-screen foes are actually helping guide them through the air and are literally lending a shoulder for them to lean on in most cases. You can see a perfect example of this in the infamous mall fight, in which Sam executes a perfect spinning kick, all ropes and wires. And one of the most impressive things about Cobra Kai is that the actors are actually performing most of the stunts themselves. Obviously, there are trained martial arts professionals and stunt coordinators on hand to guide them through the scenes, but most of it is the actual actors' own work. And we can also reveal that most, if not all of the cast, have some sort of martial arts experience, so they know the basics of what is needed to make those fight scenes look realistic. Tanner Buchanan, who plays Robbie Keane, is actually more than proficient in Taekwondo, having almost made it to black belt, while also training in Muay Thai. Tell us your favorite scene from the series so far below. And what about the on-screen rivalry between the dojos? Stick around to find out more. As anyone who watched the original Karate Kid movie will be able to attest to, Johnny and Daniel have been rivals since day one, and nothing has changed since Cobra Kai started. Obviously, we wouldn't have such a great premise for the show if they were best friends now, right? But the rivalry on set is where it finishes. As it turns out, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, who played Daniel and Johnny respectively, are actually pretty tight if the behind-the-scenes footage is anything to go by. The pair can regularly be seen fooling around off-camera, and their chemistry has evolved, having known each other for years and starring alongside one another in the original Karate Kid. William actually revealed that the pair are so close, they even went grocery shopping together once they touched down in Atlanta to film the series. Cute. What happens with the props we see on screen then? Let's see. In shows like Cobra Kai, there are obviously a ton of props that are used in each episode, but what happens to them after filming wraps? We know a lot of shows actually keep props and wardrobe items in storage, sometimes for years, in case of a reboot. But what about our favorite martial arts-based show, Cobra Kai? Well, it turns out some of the cast are actually allowed to keep some souvenirs from various episodes. But hands down, the coolest thing that was actually allowed to be kept by a cast member was Daniel's car from the original. Ralph Macchio was gifted the classic Ford Super Deluxe by the movie studio, and the gesture actually came in handy when the spin-off show launched, as it appeared in that too. It also turns out that Mary Mauser, who plays Sam, was allowed to keep the entire outfit she wore for her date scene, as she was sick. And Jacob was also allowed to keep a gear he found while he was filming in the junkyard. What would you choose to keep from the series if you could have one thing? And let's discuss the behind-the-scenes laughs. As you probably know, actors are forever messing up their lines, and no more so than in Cobra Kai. Behind-the-scenes footage is full of actors forgetting their lines, which always provides the cast and crew with a good laugh. It has also been revealed that the actors, William Zabka in particular, are actually allowed to improvise some of their lines too. Johnny's lines are usually full of little witticisms and sarcasm, and sometimes this actually comes from the actor himself. When Zabka drops an improvised line into the script, it often makes the final cut and provides the the cast and crew with not just a few surprises during shooting, but plenty of laughs. You might remember the scene where Johnny draws, how should we put this, a phallic-shaped object on the billboard featuring Daniel's face. Well, when confronted by Daniel about the vandalism, Johnny proclaims that he was just drawing a rocket ship. This was all improvised by Zabka, which probably means he has more in common with his character than he lets on. Who is your favorite character on Cobra Kai? Let us know below. What about the flashback in the very first episode? You might remember that in the first episode of Season 1, we see a flashback to set the scene for the upcoming story. In the flashback, we see the now legendary fight between Daniel and Johnny, but we also see parts that never actually appeared in the film. So how did the behind-the-scenes team pull that one off? Anti-aging software? Some nifty makeup trick? Well, actually, none of the above. The scenes were taken from the original movie. They were filmed at the time, back in the 80s, but never used. And we're glad they weren't, as they were perfect for Cobra Kai. Fans were able to see angles that they didn't see in the original, as well as longer fight scenes, which was great. And finally, what do we know about the 5th season? Stay tuned to find out. Apparently, we will have a full house when Cobra Kai returns for the 5th season, as all the cast members have reportedly signed on to return, which we think is great. And we also know that filming has already wrapped for Season 5 back in December, so we can probably take a guess at a July or August release date, as shows usually take around 8 months or so in post-production. The 5th season was mostly shot in Atlanta once again, while there were also new shooting locations in Puerto Rico. Exotic. As we know from the end of Season 4, Kreese is now in jail, so there is a sensei spot up for grabs, which will be taken by Terry. Also, the dojo is set to expand, which will probably mean increased beef between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. But what will Daniel do now that he knows the real way the dojo claimed victory at the All-Valley tournament? You'll have to tune in to find out. As always, thanks for dropping in today, and if you feel like doing us a solid, why not like and share today's video, as well as subscribing to our channel. Bye guys!